You're taking this too seriously, way more seriously than Papa probably does. Lighten up, will ya? Mischievous grin spread across Cole's face. Speaking of lightening up, remember yesterday when we were doing that delivery job? You mentioned that you sent Papa fan letters when you were younger. When I did some digging in, Sid's ears drooped in horror. Oh no, you didn't. Cole pulled out two wrinkled letters from his belt with a grin. Nothing like some embarrassing writings from your younger self with white eyes, eh? Let's see what you wrote. Wait, don't look at those. Fearful panic flooded Sid's voice as Cole flipped open one of the letters. A confused silence immediately hung in the air. Sid's heart pounded against his chest as he watched Cole's eyes dart across the page. The spelling and handwriting was utterly atrocious. The entire paper was completely ineligible. Some words were spelled correctly in one paragraph and then completely differently in the next. Letters with similar shapes like B and D were swapped erratically. Some lines were skipped, others were rewritten multiple times. Cole slowly looked up from the letter to Sid's terrified face. How old were you when you wrote this? The badger's shoulders slumped as he brought his face in his hands. I've always been shit at reading and writing, okay? It's just a basic thing, but I could never do it right. Cole squinted at him curiously. How do I explain it? I have a hard time concentrating. It's like my eyes see the letters, but my brain doesn't recognize them. And sometimes it just feels like words flow off the pages. My mom and dad even saved up a ton of money to send me to this prestigious school. Well, it's prestigious for a commoner like me, so that I can get more help. But Sid sighed with a grimace. All my teachers kind of gave up and said there was something wrong with me. Cole scowled. What? But please don't tell Marrow. I really look up to him, and I don't want him to find out I'm a dumbass too. No, not that. What the hell are those teachers thinking? They just called you an idiot and took your money? Sid scratched his head awkwardly. Well, my mom kind of broke into their offices and shattered a few of their windows after she found out. Good. Your mom made the right move. All your teachers sound like total hacks. Well, they did their best to try and help me. I was given the same classes and lessons as everyone else. I guess I'm just a little dumber than all the other students. Oh. Cole thumped him over the head with a nearby hardcover. At least he tried. Upon realizing that he was too sore to reach the badger's head, Cole lifted the book with May's hand and successfully smacked Sid across the face. What was that for? The only stupid thing you did was believing that bullshit that your teachers told you. Let me ask you, how many people are there in the city of Axia? Sid rubbed his sore head. I think about 50,000. Yes, 50,000 goddamn people. You honestly think all 50,000 of them learn things the exact same way? Sid fell silent. I guess not. Of course not. It's not your fault that you learn things differently. You're not stupid. There's nothing wrong with you. Maybe you're just more of a visual learner or something. Your teachers were just too goddamn lazy to teach you in a way that's effective for you. Sid let out a quiet chuckle. The way Cole began fuming over his past teachers made Sid a little nervous, but he'd be hard pressed to deny that wasn't a little reassuring. Hey, there's no need to get so worked up. This all happened a long time ago. Shut up. I'm allowed to get pissy here. These people let you grow up believing that you're a dumbass. Like, who does that? Yeah, tell you what. Cole lets out a frustrated scoff before pulling another book off a shelf with May's hand. I'll teach you how to read and write better. If I manage to do a better job than your teachers, we're gonna team up with Miss Swipewood and burn down that damn school. I'm not sure if that's supposed to motivate me or not. Of course it is. Think of all the kids you'd be saving from their lazy teachings. First rule of the Bone Breakers: we never leave anyone behind. Cole's expression sank with a hint of guilt. I've never been particularly good at following rules, but might as well start today, right? He cleared his throat loudly and plopped onto the floor of the library. The hyena patted the spot next to him as an invitation while he flopped open a book. Come on, you want to learn or not? Sid visited with the hem of his tunic self-consciously. I don't know if I'm worth all this effort. Cole puffed up his cheeks and furiously as he jammed a forceful finger at the spot next to him. Sit down and read the damn book. All right. What kind of book are we reading? Cole's expression softened into a grin as he sewed off the cover. It's called The First Collier, one of my favorite fantasy novels when I was little. Papa used to read it to me all the time. It's about an old owl who learned to tame fire. He takes on an apprentice who later invents the art of blacksmithing. Cole snapped his mouth shut. No spoilers. Come on, let's read. Despite Cole's contagious enthusiasm, Sid found himself shaking with anxiety as his eyes desperately scanned the pages. He gulped. Okay. I was born into a time of chaos and everlasting. Sid struggled to focus on the words as a light headache began to set in. Strange enchantments. Cole cleared his throat. You skipped a few sentences there, buddy. Oh, sorry, my bad. Sid rolled his eyes and looked back at the tiny text on the page. He spent another solid 5 minutes stumbling over the first few sentences before being hit with the realization that he had no idea what he just said. Sid dropped the book back onto his lap with a dejected sigh. Listen, Cole, I appreciate your help, but maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Cole watched him thoughtfully scratch his chin. Explain to me what you're seeing when you look on this page. Huh? Well, I can see the words, but the letters feel like they're jumping around whenever I concentrate on them. The text is so tiny, too. My eyes start to water and it gets really hard to focus. Tell you what. Sid yelled as he felt Cole climb over his leg and sat snugly between his legs. So before we continue, well, it's not the same issue Cole has. I do have some issues with, reading also. Sometimes I skip words. Sometimes a word may appear to be one word, but it's actually another word. So I confuse that word for something else, and to skip words, or you got one word that may be further down a sentence. Yeah, I say that word first instead of saying the actual words first. I mean, I do have some issues with reading, and like right now, really, but I kind of understand what Sid is going through. I mean, it's not like my issue is not similar to his, but kind of understand his frustration with being able to read. Because it seems like I skip some words, and some words may appear first where they're like further into the sentence. Like I might say felt. However, like maybe like leg, I might say leg when actually like said yelp as he leg, when actually it's said yep as he felt. Because, I kind of like, sometimes I look at a whole sentence sometimes before I read it and stuff like that. So, so anyway. Sid yelped as he felt cold climb over his leg and sat snugly between his legs. The small hyena held the book in one hand, observing it for several moments before snapping his fingers. Sid gasped as the words glowed and literally slid off the pages of the book. Colorful wisps of illusion magic wove itself into the air as illustrations came to life in front of him. How big do you want the text? Is this good? I can make the handwriting less wavy too, if that helps. Yeah, this is a lot better. Sid cleared his throat and stared at the glowing letters in front of him. Times are different now than they were when I was young. Cole's fingers danced with more illusion magic. As Sid read aloud each line, a text slid upwards revealed the next and Lord's bold lettering. When he got to the part in the story where the protagonist encountered his first forest fire, the illusions danced to life to illustrate a sea of trees on flame. All his timid insecurities were forgotten as Sid became enraptured in a novel for the first time in his life. Out the corner of his eye, he saw Cole watch him with a satisfied smile as he pulled more illusions to accompany the tale. Sid's heart trembled as he allowed himself this tiny bit of pride and joy. Their little reading session went on for what felt like hours. Sid read and read until his voice became hoarse, but he wanted to keep going. At some point, Cole's illusions began to flicker with fatigue, and they were forced to stop for the day. Before they left the library, Sid pulled his friend into a firm and grateful hug. Hey, thank you for all this. I don't know, but for the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm unfit to just be here. Cole had flushed a light shade of pink before clearing his throat loudly. Yeah, whatever. I'm just helping out because I want to spite your asshole teachers. Remember, you gotta help me burn down their offices sometime in the future, got it? Sid let out a small laugh. If you really want to, I'll go anywhere you need me to be, boss. That's a promise. Meanwhile, in the back of the library, for adults only section, Artemi let out a horrified gasp, tossed her book to the floor. What? What is this filth? I had no idea such literature existed. Artemi rubbed her eyes in horror in an effort to purge the words from her sight. Cole was right. Maybe I wasn't ready for this. I must cease my reading at once. A holy knight shouldn't be anywhere near such gross and obscene nonsense. Artemi took several steps towards the exit before glancing back sheepishly at the book on the floor. She gulped and shook her head furiously. No. What am I thinking? This is an absolute embarrassment to the name of the creators chosen. Artemi's face flushed as he gingerly plucked the book off the floor. But the story was just starting to get good. It would be a shame to stop right now. Yes, surely there are people who read these kinds of stories for the plot. I can't be the only one. It's kind of like furry visual novels. You got people who read furry visual novels for the plot. Then you got the others who read furry VNs just for the nudity and the sex and all that. I hope that's all it is. Artemi is reading it for, just a plot. Because if he's reading it for the other stuff, then he may not be the innocent person that we think he might have been. I'll have to skip the part with the filth and move on with the story in. Army glanced around the room with a guilty expression. After a moment, she flipped right back to where she left off. And he's not. She's not the innocent person we thought she might have been. She kind of like that loose stuff also. I mean, I do like some of the loose stuff too, but not that much into it. I mean, there's some things in stories like that, especially for furry visual dolls, that kind of gross me out, you know. I mean, there's some things that even I can't really read or don't want to read, even though I'm not too much against some of the nudity, as long as it's kind of like, as long as it fits with the story, fine, you know. The Bonebreaker library was quiet as Cole slipped towards the second most visited section, Battle Tactics. The first most visited section was the smut novel area, feels obviously. As Cole rummaged through the selection of strategy books, he felt Malice wiggle his way out his pocket and slither up onto his shoulder. Puny mortal, why are we back in this dingy library? We should be out exploring the wonders of the material plane, not cooped up with a bunch of dusty books. Well, we are spoiled tourists. Cole plucked a heavy-looking book titled Class Details, the Player's Handbook, 5th edition, and flipped it open as he plopped onto the floor. Now that I've got my own little adventuring party, we're probably going to run into some dangerous folks in the future. I figured it would be a good idea to read upon combat classes so we know what to expect. Mellors peered at him with wonder. My puny mortal is acting responsible in making cautious preparations. Inconceivable. Cole rolled his eyes and flicked the snake on his nose. Stop treating me like I'm a walking disaster. I will once you stop acting like one. He grumbled and turned his attention back to the book. What should we read up upon? There's a lot there. Oh, hey. This is why I am. Yes, a very poor specimen of a bard, indeed. Oh, shut up. Cole skimmed through the pages eagerly. Bards are charisma-based spellcasters who draw power from their words and music. The spells are woven from tunes and speeches that are further amplified by their musical instrument of choice. Hey, I've never seen you cast spells using your lute before. Cole stiffened and shrugged his shoulders defensively. I'm still new at this whole magic business, you know? Plus, I get kinda self-conscious about my music if I have to play in front of other people. The greatest strength of the bard class is their sheer versatility. While they lack the raw strength and offensive spells of other spellcasters, bards themselves supported their allies and befriended their enemies. Many of their spells ensnare the senses through the charm and illusion and a subtle touch that other classes simply do not possess. Confidence and charisma is a core pillar to a bard's ability. One who is ashamed of their own strengths will often find their spells weakened by insecurities. Let me be a reminder, puny mortal. You do not dare to share your skills with your own father. The chances of you becoming a formidable bard are tentative at best. That is why you should form a pact with me and grow into your true potential. You are probably the worst salesman I've ever met. a faith and devotion of clerics are the essence of their miraculous magic. Clerics harness the celestial light of the Creator through prayer in order to heal their allies and curse their enemies. No evildoer is safe from the righteous judgment of the Creator when the cleric is their messengers. Throughout history, the Creator has deemed certain individuals worthy of our blessing. These individuals burn brightly with celestial power, many times greater than the average cleric. Among these individuals, the most powerful is known as the Creator's chosen. The chosen was heralded as a guardian against future evils and is coveted by the clergy of the Grand Cathedral. While many blessed heroes are known to populate the world, only one Creator's chosen exists at any given time. After the chosen's death, another is born soon afterwards. The church often swiftly welcomes any new chosen into their ranks. Controversially, there has been individuals throughout history who have carried the chosen's power but had used it for illicit purposes. This calls to question the legitimacy of the Creator's blessing as a measure of one's morals. The cathedral insists that these illicit individuals are not truly blessed and are mere pretenders to their name. Thus far, neither claim can be verified. Druid craft is often regarded as a lesser form of magic among the nobility of Axia. Nature magic is seen as wild and unsophisticated, used by lowly farmers to tend to their crops. However, dissenting scholars reminded us that anyone who underestimates a powerful druid will soon come to a rude awakening. Like the name suggests, druid spells are associated with nature and wildlife. They often gain the ability to say step to feral creatures and bend nature's neighbors' inhabitants to their will. Most druids in Axia inhabit the exterior farmlands where most of the city's food is produced. Their population has dwindled during the horrid locust famine that has decimated the farmlands. In the modern city, their community holds strong and is slowly gaining power among the higher class of the city. Malice slithered over Cole's soda curiously. What is this locust famine that this book speaks of? Oh, I was about 12 when it happened. It was a pretty rough time. Apparently a giant swarm of locusts went wild in the exterior farmlands and ate everything in sight. Rumor has it that these locusts were cursed. After they ate all the crops, they began sucking their life out of the people living there. Nobody knows where they all came from. Luckily, the locusts never managed to breach the city walls. Axia has a ton of food stockpiled and magically preserved to last a year. I remember how we had to ration tiny portions of food until the locust swarms left. Most of the people inside the city walls survived, but all the farmers on the outside. Whole 7. It took years for the exterior of the city to fully recover. It was a pretty bad time all around. Most spellcasting classes derive their power from training or an external source. Such sources include faith in one's deity, rigorous study, either arcane, and practice of woven songs. In contrast, the sorcerer's power is innate and comes from an unexplained inner strength. Some scholars speculate that their power stems from ancient bloodlines, arcane events in childhood, or perhaps even a simple fluke of nature. Due to their inexplicable origin, sorcerers are a very rare class of mage. One of their peculiar abilities include their mastery over spellcasting. They can empower and twist their spells with sheer flexibility and control that other classes lack. Destructive spells may burn away all enemies in an area but leaves allies unharmed. Other spells may have their range doubled, duration increased, or even cast so subtly they might as well be invisible. Some sorcerers even have the ability to cast multiple high power spells simultaneously. The sorcerer's power is as rare as it is powerful. Aha! This is it. This is the best class among mortals. Why not invest your efforts into this class, puny mortal? It will surely pay off in the future. Cole sought Melons a doubtful look before skimming the book's contents. The warlock's primary distinguishing feature is that their dark magic is acquired through dubious pacts with powerful beings. Through these pacts, warlocks attain great power without having to work or study for it. It is for this reason that warlocks have garnered a reputation for being the laziest of all spellcasters. Yeah, this thing. Yeah, he really likes bugging Cole a lot. Well, this really isn't selling your case. This book speaks falsehoods. Warlocks are clearly the most noble of all classes. Come on, be immortal. Please reconsider. Think of all the power you could obtain. Yeah, but it says here that in return for such power, the pact would tie me to your service. What a silly job description. Do you even have workers' compensation? Well, I admit I have not considered the ethical ramifications of warlock pacts. What benefits do you offer? What about wages? Are there any clauses preventing your workers from unionizing? I'm sure. Cole snorted and swiftly skipped through the warlock section of the book. Well, I'm not interested. Figure your shit out and come back to me later. Curses, forward it again. Within the city of Axia, wizards are considered the most esteemed and learned spellcasters among the elite. In fact, the vast majority of the maid's nobility are wizards. This class derives their power from rigorous study and scholarly endeavors instead of any innate source. Their wide array of knowledge provides them with the greatest diversity of powerful spells among all spellcasters. This section of the book has been scribbled over with Marrow's messy handwriting. In short, wizards are all fucking nerds. Sure, they've got fancy magic, but they spend most of their time studying like useless shut-ins. Have you ever seen a wizard at the gym, or do even a single squat? I don't fucking think so. These guys have the constitution of wet napkins. One good swing and they're out cold on the floor. Science can confirm wizards are the absolute worst of all the spineless magic users. Well, still not a fan of wizards. There was a small note in between the pages with Hammer's handwriting. Please don't vandalize our books. I got one more. Unlike all spellcasters, the artificer derives their power from the technology and the objects at their disposal. Their magic catalyzes in many forms, from an alchemist's enchanted potions to an tinkerer's toolkit. While the raw magical power of this class is rather lacking compared to other spellcasters, few can produce the right tool for any job as readily as an artificer. You know, I was really into tinkering with little trinkets and blacksmithing projects when I was little. Clark taught me a lot of cool metalworking tricks. Do you think I'll be able to learn a few artificial tricks in the future if I get my hands on the right tools? Malice nodded wisely. Ah, yes, I believe you are well suited for the artificer class, mainly due to the fact that you are already a tiny tool. Oh, fuck off. Okay, that's more. Oh well, I forgot that there were two options before all those parts about the mazes. There was one part about the different types of magic, and another choice about the fighters, warrior class. So this is the other part right here. This is the other choice, and when that other choice, here are these choices for that. Yeah, so well, billion. Oh, this is Papa's combat class. Cole flipped through the pages eagerly. Barbarians are formidable fighters who are driven by their primal instincts and unstoppable rage. Fury is the power that fuels their physical strength, skill, resilience, and maddening reflexes. In a fight, barbarians are able to shrug off devastating attacks due to the rush of adrenaline in their veins. Furthermore, this battle-drunken rage renders them incredibly resistant to most mind-controlling and charming effects by mazes. Of the volatile combat classes, the barbarian outshines them all in brute strength. What does it matter, puny mortal? I was expecting you to prattle on about how impressive your father is. I was just wondering, what kind of stuff does Papa get mad about when he fights? I don't think I've ever seen him genuinely angry before. I hear that many barbarians draw upon a painful memory that incites the rage they require. Perhaps your father experienced some great injustice in his life that he uses to fuel his strength. Maybe. Papa never likes talking about his time before the Bone Breakers, though. What does? Hey, what are you doing? Don't skill fight information like this. Why not? Everyone knows what a fight is. It's the most boring and broad combat category that basically boils down to dude who hits people. If you want to get really spicy, sometimes they hit people with weapons. That's about all there is to it. I think a rookie like Sid would fall into this category purely because he knows nothing specific about fighting. Well, I am sure some fighters specialize in a certain role. Yeah, but there's no one defining feature. Like I said, it's a class that's super broad so that folks can stuff all the miscellaneous things into it. Move on. As masters of martial arts and unarmed combat, the monk draws upon an eternal power called Ki, or Kai, or Ki, to perform incredible feats. They have no need for weapons, for their own physical body is all they need in combat. In some cases, they can even hinder the Ki of their opponents to cripple their ability to fight back. The monk is easily the fastest and most nimble of all classes, able to easily outpace their opponents without losing breath. There tells a legend that one peculiar monk managed to breach Mount Zenithor's magical defenses and reach its summit. This monk learned all the tools of the material, infernal, and celestial planes. This lesson has yet to be verified by any scholarly source. There she is. We can probably just slap a picture of Artemi onto this section and call it a day. Yeah, paladins stink with such a disgusting celestial set. I do not understand how you can be around her all day. I'm more nervous about pissing her off, honestly. Cole sighed and flipped through the pages. Righteousness and justice are at the core of a paladin's virtues. As guardians against the evils of the world, they draw arcane power from their oaths and devotion to undo their opponents. While paladins are trained in the basics of armed combat, their true potential lies in their magical prowess. They hold the ability to heal the wounded, smite the cruel, and defend the innocent from those who wish to harm them. Cole glanced up at Malice suspiciously. Wait, shouldn't Artemi have sensed your demony powers by now? How do you stay hidden all this time? Ha, fool us. We greater demons are very skilled in cloaking our presence. No mere paladin will be able to sense us unless we unleash a significant portion of our power. Good to know. Cole scowled as he reached the Ranger section of the book. Hammers is multi-class as a Ranger. Great. Do Rangers not intrigue you? They seem like a rather powerful class. Not really. I'm shooting arrows at people from the sidelines while Power does all the hard work. How exciting. Cole rolled his eyes before skimming through the page. Masters of the wilderness and the hunt. Rangers are predators that stalk their prey with uncanny precision. They are superb trackers with an emphasis on speed and stealth. Few are able to escape their grasp once caught. Rangers are known to arm themselves with a classic bow and arrow, as well as daggers and a wide variety of traps. While rare in action, certain Rangers are able to utilize subtle magic to aid in their hunts. I remember the mercenary boys mentioned that Hammer's specialty is in trapwire. I've never actually seen the guy fight, though. Rangers are stealth fighters. Is that the point? Sounds like a great excuse to be lazy, if you ask me. Cole begrudgingly continued reading. Cole grimaced. Great, now I gotta read about one of Hammer's multi-class categories. I figure you appreciate rogues since they are sneaky little shits just like you. Hey, I'm nothing like Hammers, got it? Cole let out an indignant huff before returning to the book. Easily the most cunning and elusive of all classes, the rogue specializes in stealth and deception. There are known to be efficient killers who slink in the shadows awaiting the perfect moment to strike. Rogues often destroy their enemies in a single hard-hitting blow before disappearing as quickly as they arrive. Yeah, right. Why can't Hammers use those skills? Why can't Hammers use these rogue skills to hide better when he and Papa bang? Everyone in the guild knows everybody in the guild knows when they're doing it. Cole snapped the book closed with a huff. Loudest goddamn rogue in the city. Well, from what I've heard, your father's quite the specimen. Would you be more fitting if his partner wasn't loud? You always prattling on about Marrow's prowess, after all. Cole groaned and buried his face in his hands. I really don't want to think about it. Artemi was in the middle of an intense conversation with several bone-breaker mercenaries. What do you mean, biting is hot? Such attacks are forbidden in chivalric battles when Marrow pulled her aside. Hey, alas. Think you can spare a moment? There's something I wanted to chat with you about in private. Artemi blinked, somewhat surprised. Of course. I would be happy to speak with you. There was a strange look on Marrow as he led her to a more secluded corner of the lobby. All the other mercenaries took the hint and left them alone. For someone who usually carried himself with such easygoing confidence, it was odd to see Marrow appear so self-conscious. Yoda hurried to clear his throat awkwardly. Sir, you're a good lass. I got an honest look about you. Your mind sharing your thoughts with this out-of-touch old man. I was just wondering, what do you think about Cole? And does he talk about his old papa much? What's your opinion on him in this entire situation overall? Artemi smiled, amused. Are you asking me for constructive criticism, Sir Marrow? Marrow crossed his arms with an indignant pout. Well, yeah, in a manner of speaking. All the boys in the guild and Hammers love me so much. Love me too much to really speak out against me. The other teammate says kind of too much of a pushover to be constructive. He chuckled self-consciously. As a leader and a father, it's probably healthy to have my ego checked occasionally. At least that's what my old sister always used to tell me. Gotta make sure there ain't stuff I miss about the folks under my care. So, let me know if there's anything I can do for my boy. I'm always open to some change. Artemi grew a little quiet. It was certainly not what she was expecting. Her thoughts, uh, her thoughts drifted to memories of her excellency's cold stares and indifferent dismissals, and here this hulking brute of a man was asking for her opinion. Artemi sighed and conceded that she truly knows nothing about how families function. Well, Cole does speak of you quite often. It is clear that he loves and respects you very much. Despite our short time together, I can already tell that you provide him with much inspiration and support. Marrow puffed out his chest with pride. Now that's what I want to hear. I do have some concerns, however. You are a great man, Marrow Bonebreaker, but you cast a large shadow. How is Cole to live up to such a legend? Marrow faltered slightly. What do I mean, lass? Artemi relentlessly gnawed on her thumb as she struggled to put her thoughts in order. I've seen Cole do some unsavory things and compromise himself in order to appear more in line with your image. He is no fool. You two are very different people, yet he does it anyway. I believe Cole has the potential to become a great leader, but not when he's bending all his efforts towards his father's approval. Marrow snorted and crossed his arms defensively. Now, Cole ain't gotta do anything like that to get my approval. I've always tried my best to be supportive of my boy in everything he does, even when I don't really approve. Artemi smiled kindly. Not much to clear, Cole knows it too. And those warm, supportive words. They are comforting, but there is no way to know if they are genuine or if you are simply trying to be a good father. Cole does ridiculous things to win over your true approval. He has no idea if he's doing it right or not. Artemi softened and laughed. Two family members bending over backwards in an effort to avoid hurting the other's feelings. It is rather sweet. But in the end, I believe it will be best if you two start being honest with each other. Marrow fell quiet. His glass eye glistened in its empty socket as he scratched his chin. That gives me a bit to think about. Thank you, lass. That was a good talk between Marrow and Artemi. That's why I think also they try to, be kind to each other by, not really being honest. They try to be optimistic towards each other, but they gotta have to be honest with each other if the other person wants the other. I mean, like if they want to understand each other more, they gotta have to be honest with each other. They understand each other more, so that way, neither side will have to constantly be thinking about whether or not what they say might hurt each other's feelings or not. We're done here. Nice descended upon Axia by the time Cole finally returned to the Bonebreaker Guild Building Tavern. Sid and Artemi had said their goodbyes and departed to their respective homes after a long day of scurrying about the city. It had been an eventful day, but now was the time to rest up for the Firefly Festival tomorrow. Cole yawned lazily as he pushed through the heavy doors of his home, only to be met with a mostly empty tavern. Huh? Where did everybody go? The boys usually a hoot at this time of night. They're out on the job tonight. A few of the villagers hired us for bodyguarding duty as they set up for the festival tomorrow. There have been a few cases of folks fainting out of the blue, so paranoia and safety have been up to date. There was a thump from behind the bar as Marrow poked his head up with a grin. Luckily, the large hyena was wiping down tables and cleaning up messes instead of causing them. Well, you're actually doing chores around here? The hammers threatened to kick you out of bed and make you sleep on the couch again? Hey now, I'm just being helpful out of love for my beautiful Hammy. No threats needed. Though he's been glaring at me a lot more today, I think he's still pissed about the broken door frame. Marrow cleared his throat loudly and stuffed the cleaning tower behind the bar. Anyways, there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about, son. Care to sit down and have a chat with your old man? Cold blinked. Oh, sure. Everything okay? You look kinda nervous, Papa. Me? Nervous? Ha! There's your old man seeming like the kind of guy who gets nervous about anything. Cole slowly sat down at the bar with a concerned frown. Despite his father's wide grin, there was a sullen tone to his voice. He had a habit of turning the side of his head with the glass eye toward someone when he wanted to hide something. Marrow let out a few more half-hearted chuckles before a quiet gloom fell over him. For the first time in his life, his father indeed looked somewhat nervous. Well, this was a conversation we should have had forever ago, but better late than never, eh? Carl watched as Marrow reached over to pour him a drink. It was hot tea. Now he knew that something was wrong. A cozy silence filled the room. Marrow drank his tea quietly, but it was plain to see that countless thoughts were stewing in his mind. He let out a tired sigh. I just want to emphasize again how much I love you, boy. I couldn't have asked for a better son. I know, Papa, you say that every single day. Yeah, well, it's true. Words can never describe how proud I am to have you as my son. Marrow paused and took another sip of tea. On the other hand, maybe today is a day where I finally have the courage to say I'm not very proud of the father I've become. Wait, what? Cole got at him incredulously. But why? You're the best father anyone could possibly ask for. You're like the coolest guy in general. Why would you ever think? Marrow calmly held up his hand. Cole grew quiet. I'm happy you think so, but that's just the thing I am. I'm the fun dad, the jokester. I'm the one who will encourage you at everything you want to do and never say no. Ever. I do all that because I know deep down that whatever slack I give you, Hammers will step in as the voice of reason. Hammers is the one who's giving you all the hard lessons a kid needs to learn when growing up. He's also the one who takes the brunt of your anger and frustrations. Marrow let out a sigh and took another sip of his drink. His shoulders hung low in a nervous gloom. Honestly, I have no idea how to be a father. My own papa was an absolute ass of a man, always belittling me for my past and stepping on my accomplishments like they were nothing. Always telling me no. Marrow turned towards his son with a soft smile. The day that you were brought into the world, I swore that I would never be the father he was to me. But in hindsight, I'm afraid I failed in the complete opposite direction. Bullshit, you're a good dad. No one in the world is braver and more inspiring than Marrow fucking Bonebreaker. Heh. Marrow gulped down his entire tankard of tea before reaching for a cask of ale. Hate to break it to you, boy, but your father's a bit of a coward. But he held his hand again. I swore to be honest tonight, so here on my honest thoughts. A good father inspires, but also knows when to step in and make sure that kids learn from their mistakes. I throw the hyena aside and such is ill. I encourage and support you at every turn because I see the bitterness you send happens every day and imagine the day you turn that bitterness towards me. I imagine you spitting the same contempt I have towards my own papa. That thought scares me more than I care to admit. Marrow turns towards his son with an apologetic and summer smile. I'm the fun dad who gets all the praise and love while I let my partner take the brunt of your disdain. Disdain that I ought to deserve more of. Papa, Marrow chuckled and ruffled Cole's hair playfully. Did you know back in the day, Hammy was the biggest crybaby I've ever met? One mean look at a guy you could reduce him to tears. He's learned to hide it better nowadays, but he's still a mostly sentimental guy deep down. Marvel sighed and took a deep breath. I guess what I'm trying to say is, be nice to Hammers, yeah? Honestly, you and me, we're both big fucking messes, and he has to deal with us every day. I know you two don't always get along, but try to open up to him a little more. He doesn't sort, but all those nasty things you say really get to him. Cole felt silent as his father downs the rest of his drink. The older hyena laughed, already slightly tipsy as he pinched his son's cheeks. You know, throughout my entire time as a father, the thing I'm most grateful for is the fact that you inherited Hammer's brains. That's the sharpest weapon in the entire bone-breaking arsenal. So you got my emotional constipation along with it. Cole gulped down his bitter thoughts with his tea and sighed. Fine, I get it. I'll try to be less of a sit to Hammers, and that makes you happy. It does, it truly does. Marrow paused before looking deep into Cole's eyes. And another thing, I want you to promise to start being more honest with us, yeah? I'm still your father after all. If there's anything I'm doing wrong, anything you want to tell me, you can. No hard feelings. I want you to know that you can talk to me. Cole nodded again, quietly. Yeah, I know. But he won't. Cole stared down at his empty teacup, a deep dread cloud uncomfortably in his chest. His father was no coward, admitting his feelings and faults to someone he loved. That was a kind of courage he sorely lacked. Chapter 2, Vulnerability and Risk. End. Alright, so before we continue, we gotta see a part of Marrow that we haven't seen so far. He's this confident and boisterous and always confident about himself, and we see that that's not totally the case. I mean, that's still a big part of him, but he's also someone who not sure about himself. He doesn't believe that he has been a very good father, and the fact that he hasn't really been honest with his son, you know, and that's the first time he really admitted that both him and Cole are two big messes. That's the first time he actually acknowledged that not only he's a mess, but Cole's a mess also. Like, he's not entirely, he's not entirely on the. I mean, even he acknowledged that Cole has some problems. He didn't really specify that, but I think deep down, even though he says he's proud of his son, I think he still is proud of his son. I think he knows that there's some issues with him too, but he certainly does not like the way he treats Hammers so harsh and coldly, and he wants to be nicer to Hammers because that's his father. He raised him, and he believes he got a lot of his intelligence from Hammers. So when he said, that's what made me think. Like, I mean, I don't see that both Hammers and Marrow are male, so they didn't produce Cole. So I wonder who the mother of Cole is. We never really heard anything about Cole's mother. It was always Marrow Bonebreaker. Cole always talked about Marrow Bonebreaker. And the Bonebreaker is still kind of confusing for me to say that. But anyway, Cole always talked about Marrow Bonebreaker, but we haven't heard him talk about his mother yet. That's what I'm wondering. Or maybe the game is more focused on Marrow and Hammers, and it just doesn't bother to bring up about what Cole's mother is. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, in some ways, it's kind of like some of these games where there's no men around, and it's just all men. There's no women, and the devs probably don't expect you to think about women. So I guess that's kind of like with Marvel and Hammer's relationship, like in Cole, like you just don't expect they probably don't expect you to think about Cole's mother. It's just about Marvel and Hammer's. Alright, so I like that part there where we get to see a different side of Marvel and be honest with Cole there. And that he doesn't know really how to be a father. I don't know, maybe he thinks that he hasn't really. He's been. We don't really see him ever scold. Well, not scold, like, like offer constructive criticism to Cole. So that's really the first time we ever see him do that. Like, just tell him to be nicer to Hammers. And that you'll treat him real bad. So I guess, in my opinion, that's the reason why he thinks he hasn't been a good father, because he hasn't really given Cole any constructive criticism. He just goes along with whatever Cole wants, because he wants his son to be happy, even though he doesn't approve of it. And Cole is worried that if he reveals to his father about him having magical powers, Ma will be saying to him. Now, he does talk a lot of crap about magic, so I understand why Cole would be afraid to tell his father, but it's something Cole needs to tell his father sooner or later, because that's a part of him. That's part of who Cole is, his magical abilities. Alright, so now we get to learn some information about Marrow and Hammers there. Marrow Bonebreaker, species striped hyena. Age 45, professor, mercenary captain. Military class, barbarian, berserker. Strength 20%, dexterity 50%, constitution 18%, intelligence 10%, wisdom 9%, charisma 14%. Very strong, skilled fighter. He has a lot of charisma. Kind of lacking in wisdom and intelligence. He's not very smart. He's not all that wise. But again, we kind of got a clue about that when he told Cole that he didn't think he was a good father. I don't necessarily think he's a bad father, but he's been very good to Cole. But I do agree that he says he doesn't really know how to be a father. Like, be honest to your sons. Just criticize your son, constructively, and let him know when he does good, let him know when he does bad, and stuff. Only just let him know when he does good. You gotta let him know when he does both good and bad. So anyway, this coward's race burns bright and blind. Marrow Bonebreaker is a legend among the city of Axia for its horrific history of destroying property owned mostly by nobles, holding hostages of nobles as assets in exchange for a better city infrastructure, and inspiring fear across the land and nobles. After wreaking an amount of destruction that even the royal family could not ignore, his merry crew of mercenaries finally settled down after the city officials gave in to all their demands and also pardoned the Bonebreakers of all their crimes. Nowadays, he and his partner Hannes lead the Bonebreaker Mercenary Company in an honest living of mercenary work in the city of Axia. The origins of this famous warrior is shrouded in human mystery. Some claim that he was a child raised by feral animals in the wilderness of the exterior, while others say that he was a noble himself who ran away from home rebellion. Morrow alleges during an interview that he popped into existence through sheer willpower and spite. When his partner Hammers was asked to confirm this statement, he simply rolled his eyes and asked the interviewer to cough up their publicity payment items. Voxor Grey Axe. The signature weapon of Marrow Bonebreaker, this great axe sports a massive blade that summons as dark as midnight. Crafted by the disgraced blacksmith Clyde Bessemer, this axe features the finest and sharpest Damascus steel in the land and possesses the ability to neutralize magic at the slightest touch. Quite fitting for a barbarian who holds magic in great contempt. Morrow named this masterwork axe Voxor, or roughly translated Sister's Voice. It helps cut through all the bullshit in my life, Marrow Bonebreaker asserts with a grin. The interviewer notes that there was a bittersweet edge to the warrior's voice as he spoke. Fans and admirers across the city had frequently offered to craft stylish eye patches for Morrow, all of whom he had declined. His missing eye was a product of his mistakes and misplaced loyalty, and he chooses to wear his glass eye proudly as a reminder of what truly matters. Upon close examination, the scar tissue around his eye indicated that the injury was caused by a magical source. Hammer's species spotted hyena, age 44, professing mercenary lieutenant, multi-class rogue, thief, ranger, gloomstalker, strength 19 mm, strength, let's see, Marrow Bonebreaker is no longer allowed access to the file drawer. Big meaty professional so that's what Maul said about him. So I can't read, but anyway. Strength 12%, strength 12, dexterity 19, constitution 12, intelligence 16, wisdom 16, charisma 9. So he's pretty strong. He's very dexterous. Constitution is 12. Intelligence, yeah, he's definitely good at dexterity. I mean, he can do a lot of stuff, and very stealthy, and he's definitely high in intelligence and wisdom. He's very intelligent, he's very wise, especially when he is very honest towards Cole about whether he's ready to run the Bonebreaker guild or not. he doesn't have much in charisma. I mean, I always that was always something that Morrow had charisma. He wasn't really smart, but he was able to. But he had a big personality, and everybody in the guild felt connected to him, and he could really rally everybody in the guild, towards a goal. Well, Hamlet is very poor when it comes to that, but that's the only thing he's bad at. I mean, everything else is good or great. Got a plane coming over. Become irreplaceable, never give them a reason to leave. Hamlet began life as a humble son of a hunter and a scullery maid. From a young age, he was trained in the art of hunting and tracking by his father and brought home quality meats and pelts to support his family. His home life was a modest but happy one. When tragedy struck and Hamlet found himself alone in the world, he was taken in by a moral bonebreaker and served as his right-hand man. Soon after, a romance blossomed between them, and these two hyenas have since become inseparable. Despite the man's stern exterior, Hamlet is rather sensitive and prone to crying. It is a habit that he has learned to curtail over the years, especially in the presence of their son, but it occasionally resurfaces behind closed doors. Marrow thinks it's adorably sweet, while Hamlet threatens to make Marrow sleep on the couch the next time he calls his crying spouts cute. Items. A cape whose fibers are woven from several disassembled bags of holding. Though he would never admit it, Cole got the idea for his own loincloth of holding from the Harris. Unlike his son's sloppy job, Hamlet's cape was skillfully woven over the course of several months and is incredibly durable. The thick cloth is capable of softening blows from arrows and daggers alike. The various pockets lining the interior can hold up to 500 pounds of goods, which Hamlet uses to store weaponry, medical supplies, and tools for his wire traps hunting efforts. During a certain incident, Marrow jumped inside the cave as a joke and disappeared for about 6 minutes before the bonebreaker mercenaries managed to drag his unconscious body back out. It turned out that it was very hard to breathe inside a cape of holding. Hamlet refused to sleep with Marrow for about a week after this incident as punishment. Many members of the Bonebreaker Guild recall witnessing their leader reduce to tears during this period of punishment. So that part of the loincloth that Cole wears was made by Hamlet. So he has no problem using it, even though he uses every opportunity to trash talk Hamlet to others and to Hamlet himself, but he still uses it. Hamlet's preferred weapon is a sleek and unassuming bow. The big dry weight allows him to fire multiple arrows with great force over a massive distance. One of Bonebreaker's preferred strategies is for Marrow to lead the charge against a group of enemies, drawing their attention while Hamlet picks them off from a distance. Instead of wearing a quiver, Hamlet keeps a variety of specialty arrows within his cape of holding. Hamlet keeps several types of trap wire within his cape of holding. Thin wires for subtle traps and thicker barbed wires for ensnaring larger prey tiny threads for flossing teeth. Curiously, he also owns several rolls of wire made of pure aetherite, and a metal that conducts magical energy and functions as a great supplement to spellcasting. Alright, so that's everything for chapter 3. I mean, chapter 2. I was already basically looking at chapter 3, the option to skip and proceed to chapter 3, but that I said chapter 3 by accident. But anyway, we're done with chapter 2. So this basically is chapter where we learn a whole lot more about a lot of stuff, like about Marrow himself and Co. and the different types of magic users and the different types of fighting classes. Different types of people who go into combat. So it's a good thing to learn all of that. Get a greater sense of the world and the professions people have. So we're gonna go ahead and start chapter 3 next time. There are 4 chapters total. However, chapter 4 so far is a shortest one because back in about a month ago, the game got a new update for the first time in 2 years, and that new update started chapter 4. So basically, we still got a long chapter 3 to do, and then after we're done with chapter 3, there's a short chapter 4 update to cover. So I say I'm a little more than half the way there now. I say like about 60% covered with Sortation's Ballad as the way it is right now. We're definitely slightly past the halfway mark.